to another video in DearPiggy's data structure tutorials. So in this video, we are going to be talking about hash maps, which are another new data structure. So we're going to talk about hash maps and how to create a hash map. And then we're going to talk about how to use for loops / for each loops to print out the values in our hash map. So let's jump right in. Maps are an implementation of the map interface. So just like linked list and array list came from the list interface, hash maps come from the map interface. I mean, who could ever tell from the name, right? Okay, so if we look at hash maps, just by looking from the picture, and especially these four statements right here, we can tell that they're a little bit different from array list and linked list. And reason being is because hash maps do not just store one value, they actually store keys and values. So it's been a while. In fact, I don't even know if we have ever worked with keys and values in Java, but previously we've always been adding one value at a time, one layer at a time to our just information in general, right? And so the thing about our hash maps is that we have added an extra layer to our code because now everything we add is doubled, right? So I just think it's pretty cool that you can add so much information just with, one sentence, right? So let's talk about how to create a hash map. Let me go ahead and create it really fast. Let's look at these bullet points. Is there anything I need to mention before we start writing some code? Nope, we can get started. So this was from our last video from linked list. We can get rid of it now. We are going to still import our hash map, and it's still from util. So we're going to say import java.util.hashmap. So we have a hash map imported. Now we're going to create. So we start with hash map. And then in our angle brackets, this is where there's a trick. We have two data types given in our angle brackets. And those data types correspond with our keys and our values here. So as I mentioned, we have keys and values. And those keys and values, as you see in this example, are all strings. But that doesn't mean that it always has to be the case. I do want to point out that these first values are the keys and the second values given are the values. So you could change things up a bit. You could have all of the keys be strings and all of the values be integers, or you could do it the other way around. So you could have string, 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 int string, anything you want. But it is important to kind of mention that when you're creating your hash map here. So you're supposed to give two values in the order. So the first data type you're giving is the key data type. And so we're going to do strings because strings are more fun when we're just learning how to code. And then the second value, we're also going to do a string. So string, string, then give a name. We're going to say favorites. And we'll see what we're going to do in a second. And then this is the same, new hash map. And then in the angle brackets, give it string, string. So string, string again represents that our key and value pairs are both going to be strings. Okay, and then I believe I need a semicolon after this. All right, so let's go ahead and start adding values to our hash map. Currently, our hash map is empty, so we need to start adding some things to it. For our hash map, we actually use the method put, which in my opinion is a little weird because usually like put like golf, but now we're using put to insert values. So when we do put, we have to give the name of your hash map dot put. And then notice that Replit is even prompting you. It needs a string key and a string value. So that's exactly what we're going to give it. Now, since we're doing it about favorites, my idea was to do like favorite TV show and then favorite character in your TV show. So all the keys would be favorite TV show or favorite book. And then all the values would be your favorite character in that TV show or book. So let's start with a TV show. My all-time favorite is Friends. And you cannot forget the periods. There we go, Friends. So that is my key, and then I need another string value. So my favorite, this is actually super duper hard. For a long time, I couldn't figure it out. I always liked Rachel or Ross or Joey or Chandler or Monica or Phoebe. I like all of them. It's just so hard. I think I'm going to put down Chandler for now. I don't know, I feel like he's a little underrated, but he's pretty cool. So that's my favorite for now. I mean, honestly, I love them all so much. And then let's do another one. So this time let's do a book. I'm also a huge Harry Potter fan. Catch me at Hogwarts. I mean, I'm still waiting for my Hogwarts acceptance letter, but who knows, maybe it'll come. My favorite character in this, Harry Potter's pretty cool. Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger. I personally, though, really like just the Weasley family in general. I would do anything to go be a Weasley for a day. I don't think I could stand the nonsense forever, but just being a Weasley for a day sounds so fun. Okay, so then let's do another TV show and another book. I have a children favorite from when I was little. I loved Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig, I have to say, I watched that up until I was like 10 years old. So Peppa Pig, part of my life forever. And my favorite character was not Peppa, it was George. I liked George for a really weird reason. He was just so annoying. I don't know why. I just thought he was the type of person that I would have been when I was little, you know? I didn't talk much when I was a baby, but I just feel like he was always crying. And I was not always crying, but I just think he's pretty cute. And he also makes Peppa really annoyed. Okay, so Peppa Pig and my favorite character is George. Let's do another book series. Wow, I haven't read a series in so long. I actually have no idea. I'll just put a random book down. This is really hard. I'm trying to think of a book that I read back then, because Friends and Harry Potter are like more recent for like older kids, but for younger kids, oh my goodness, Magic Tree House. Do you guys remember Magic Tree House with Jack and Annie? Oh my gosh, that series, every single time I finished reading a book, I would be like, I'm never reading another book, but I would always go back and read another book. It was weird. And I did not like Jack because he was a scaredy cat. I liked Annie. Annie was pretty cool. She was always like, come on, Jack, stop being a coward. Like, toughen up, dude. So I liked Annie. Okay, so we have two. Notice how everything again comes in pairs and is separated by commas. So just to reiterate, and I'll write this in a comment as well, we have key values. So the first one is a key. So Friends, Harry Potter, Peppa Pig, and Magic Tree House, they're keys. And Chandler, Weasley family, George, and Annie are values. So we have created our hash map. Congrats, guys. And you guys probably have a lot of things to make fun of me about for my favorite TV show and books, but that's another subject for another day. If I try to print out my favorites, so let me try to print it out. Favorites. It is going to work, not in the best way though. So does everybody see how we see Peppa Pig equals George, Harry Potter equals Weasley family, and then so on? So it did get printed out, but it's not in the cutest format. It's not in the best way that I want to see it. So this is going to transition us to the second half of this video, and that is using loops to print our items in the hash map. So we're going to use for each loops. Yeah, remember those from, what was it, Intro Java? Months and months ago. Yeah, we're going to use those. We're going to print out just the keys first, then just the values, and then both the keys and the values. So there's a method that we use. I don't know if you remember for each loops. I recommend you watch the video if you forgot. But there's a standard format, right? This is super simple and easy, but if you forget, it might be hard to push it out using logic. So we're going to say the data type. Now, since everything in our hash map is a string, obviously that would be a string. Then we can give a variable name, any variable name that you want. It could be A, it could be B, it could be C. You can even write a word now, it could be key. But this variable name and your bottom that you print out, they have to match. And then you put a colon, and then usually you just give your name. However, since we only want to print out the keys, we're going to add a method. We're going to stick .keyset onto the end of it to get the keys. So we're going to say for string key colon favorites.keyset. Again, keyset is going to get the keys for us. We're going to print out key. So simple, right? Easy to remember. Again, these two must match always. And then we did .keyset like I said, 500 times to print out the keys. So this time when I run my code, we're going to give it a second. Look how nice this looks. We have Peppa Pig, Harry Potter, Magic Treehouse Friends, and not just with the weird equal signs or anything. So it looks a lot better, I think. The next thing that I want to do is to do the same thing except for our values. So let me write a comment for this key set method for keys. And we're going to do something similar for our values. We're going to say for string value colon favorites, not for, oh no, I just created a very complicated thing. Whoopsies, let me get rid of all of this and start over. For string value in favorites dot values. So a little easier to remember than key set. It's just dot values, right? Values, they kind of correspond. We're going to do the same thing in system.out dot, not append, println, value. So the way these two look are very, very similar, except one of them says key set and one of them says value, because one of them is going to print out the key set and one of them is going to print out the values. And let me write that down for you. All right, so run the code one more time, and we should now have all the keys and all the values. So yes, we do. This marks the end of the keys, and this marks the end of the values. So good, so far so good. The last thing that I want to show you are to use for each loops to print out both. This is going to be a little bit of logic and thinking. We are going to do the same thing as the key set because I want to be able to get the key set. However, we're also going to use the .get method. Now, I want to talk about the .get method really quickly. The .get method, like the name suggests, is going to get a value from your hash map, and this value is going to be a value. So when you ask get, it's not going to get any of your keys, it's just going to look for your values. So the reason why we use .keyset at the top here is because we know there is a specific method later for us to get the values. So let's go ahead and try this out. By the way, if we have some Java knowledge, we should know that I currently is the index. So we're going to say prints out keys and values. All right, so we do a for each loop as well. For string I or string X for our favorites dot key set. So we're going to start with key sets. We're going to system.out.println. The key set is just going to find our keys. We know that. So we're going to say keys plus X plus values colon, and we're going to say favorites dot get X. Okay, that's a lot. Let's look at it really quickly. So let's run it first to make sure everything runs correctly. And yes, it does. It says keys Peppa Pig values George, keys Harry Potter values Weasley family, keys Magic Treehouse values Annie, keys Friends values Chandler. So again, just to emphasize this last for each loop one more time, we have the exact same thing for our key set. We're running everything with the key set right now, and X is going to be an index. Then we're going to print out keys X because that's just, again, this part up until here is the exact same as this top for each loop. Then we add in the values, and since X is an index, when we get the index, it's going to give us the value. So that was a lot. In this video, we created a hash map with keys and values. We learned what the hash map was, why it's pretty cool. And we also learned how to print out just the keys, just the values, and all the keys and all the values. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was the first week of our data structures course. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys back again, hopefully for some more data structures next week. Bye, guys.